be more rubbish. But I was just thinking about the videos that I posted the other day when I freaked out because I thought I was going to need infinite delta, which is infinite transitions. And for a deterministic Turing machine, given a state and like you're reading something, you can only jump to one possible state. So necessarily, when you're in a state, the delta is is going to be finite because it's just for all the possible things that you're reading, the state that you can go to, which is fine for like the beginning of the Turing machine. Well, the very beginning of the Turing machine is it makes it from an infinite repetitive clauses to non-infinite non-repetitive clauses, and then from there, that's a really easy deterministic algorithm. You can think about it. Max, it would run in n squared time, and then from there, you have to uh, basically go to read the input and end in a state that's unique to that input. So you would just go to like Q001 if you read a 001, and then from then on. And that's pretty easy to make a generic transition function for, because if you read 0, you're just going to go to the current state appended with 0, or if you read 1, appended with 1, etc., until you read the terminating string. But then once you get to the terminating string, you have to go to like input answer Q, like Q input answer state, the answer for that input, and then from there, you're gonna have to traverse a number of answer states that aren't. There's no way to make that generic. Like it's just in the like the machine just knows, kind of like the non-deterministic machine. It has the transition available to it non-deterministically, so then it just chooses it. And that's how the non-deterministic machine works. This, it's just basically going to be the only transition available to it, and it just takes it and then verifies it. But because of that, necessarily, since you have an infinite number of q, if you, depending on the number, the length of the term, the max term, there's no like, it's kind of infinite in that from, if you take it all transitions out of any state q, you're going to have necessarily an infinite number. But I think it's okay because it's not dissimilar for what they're doing in the non-deterministic Turing machine, and it's still a purely deterministic process, if that makes sense. You just have to give it the omniscience. That's what I'm like saying this entire time. That's all I just want people to realize, is that you really aren't, like, whether or not the shit that I'm saying like makes any sense to you. Well, if you're in computational complexity and if none of the shit that I'm saying makes any sense to you, and you're just like, this person's quantum wooing all over the place, well, fuck you, one. And like, two, try to understand me. All I'm trying to say is that when you constructed the problem, NTMs and DTMs and NP complete problems, you gave the NTMs omniscience, and you didn't give the deterministic Turing machine any knowledge. So you aren't comparing apples to apples, you're comparing apples to omniscient oranges. So if you want to actually see what determinism gets you, you have to share the same knowledge base with the deterministic Turing machine, and then it can do the shit deterministically. It doesn't need the choice, it just knows the answer. Crazy motherfuckers. So that's really what I'm trying to drill down at. And it's hard to follow all of their definitions and get all the shit right. But I know that it's right because it just makes sense. It just makes sense. So anyway, I'm still gonna keep the videos up where I was having a terrible, terrible night and couldn't say computable, so kept saying countable. Although I think that might be a Freudian slip. I don't really know there. And then, what else was I gonna say about this topic? There's some other stuff I wanted to say that I didn't necessarily explain that well. Oh, I'm a druid, so I don't think I'm ever gonna write this shit down. I might. Maybe one day. I also, like, don't want to speak white man, like, academic bullshit, because then no one's gonna be able to understand me. And they're gonna be like, you're talking over our heads. We can't understand you. You're too intelligent. So I'm kind of like at a is it catch-22 the proper? I've been using that lately, but I've never read the book. A dilemma or difficult from which there's so. Yep. Catch-22 means a dilemma or a difficult circumstance from which there is no escape because of mutually conflicting or dependent conditions. So basically, if I write this paper out and I solve this millennium proof and it's all congruent with the white man language, everyone's just gonna say Kurt's a genius. We can't understand him, but what he's saying is genius. And then if I don't write it out, everyone's just gonna think I'm crazy and not listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. So in the end, I enlighten no one. And like being a crazy person, to be honest, is better in my mind than being revered as a genius. Because I am imperfect. I make mistakes constantly. So, you know, I know. I just want people to know the truth. That's where I'm at. And I think it's a good computational model of everything. Like what I'm trying to say. And I also think it's in line with how Turing was trying to see if he could program consciousness with the Turing test. Because I think Turing had to be a strict determinist. He wanted to see if he could be God. To be honest, we are being God by creating deterministic machines. We're playing God. Do I believe that we could be in the Matrix? I don't know. Do I believe that we could put robots in a Matrix? I don't know that one either. What is robot consciousness? I think it's really funny how people don't think animals are conscious. Like they can't perceive themselves because they can't see a dot on their head. Like you can't smell your own shit in comparison to other people's shit, but we don't say you don't have the capacity for self-perception. What the fuck? Like, my cat knows what his shit is versus someone else's shit. If he sniffs someone else's butthole, he can tell who that is versus him. But he doesn't have the depth perception to see a dot. So, therefore, he doesn't have consciousness. Self-perception. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? How could an animal survive if they didn't have self-perception? We don't want them to survive, so we don't give it to them. If we allowed animals to be distinct entities, we wouldn't be able to eat them. I'm a pescatarian because I really like sushi. But also, I'm more of a flexitarian now. Not good at doing what I think is right. Because I'm a stupid But But yeah, I just wanted to, if anyone's been following this that knows anything about computational complexity, I'm sorry if I freaked you out with like the infinite delta, because I could see how you would think that I would think that I had more than a couple choices. But really, it's the same thing, only you only have one choice, where the deterministic Turing machine has all the wrong answers too. You only have the right one, and if not a right answer exists, you only have one. It can be anything. And that's how you collapse the polynomial time hierarchy, because co-NP equals NP. I don't know why they hadn't collapsed that already. I also still don't understand what they did with log time. See a previous video for my rant on log time. It doesn't make any sense to me. But to each their own. That's pretty much all I had. I'm gonna try to steer away from computational complexity theory in my videos, because I think I've said all that needs to be said now. Hopefully. I'm gonna think about something that I'm missing. Definitely gonna think, like, it's lots. I can't just do them in 15-minute blurbs. I really should write a paper, but I'm a druid and I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to write a paper. It's that I don't want to write a white male cis paper. I want to write a paper in Kurtlish, but then they won't validate me. They just laugh at me and add me to their list. They probably won't even add me to the list. Is the sad part. They'd probably just laugh at me and call me crazy. Why do I want to participate in their white boy game? I don't care about their money. They put $1 million prize on whether or not the sky was blue, and they told everyone that it was purple. Why would I participate in that? That's annoying. Literally, the paper that posed the question answered the question, but answered it wrong. It said it probably is P is not equal to NP, and then they gave multiple ways that you could possibly potentially show P equal to not NP through other classes outside of P and NP that they were trying to collapse or whatever. I guess I've shown all those other classes separate. Or the opposite. I don't know which classes they were. I would have to look back at his paper. Cook's paper. I don't really feel like doing this. But reading Cook's paper is when I realized that the certificate was the determiner. And then it took me a while to figure out what they were talking about, why they thought that non-determinism was just verification. Because that's what got them for log time. That's what got them, because they were like, you can do the verification in log time, so it must be NTM. And NLM log NL complete. Because you can do the verification. But you can't read the input. There's still log time algorithms. You just can't read the whole input. But yeah, I don't really know what I was talking about breath for search. You don't really have to search. Now, if you had a table, you would need to search, like in real life. I don't know if the easiest way to do that is just to hash it or what. I don't know the best way to store the answers in a database. That would need like a database engineer. That's not me. But anyway, those are some thoughts. If you hate them, I don't want to be